Hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian Ant. As you no doubt know, yesterday the PlayStation 4 version of Elite Dangerous was announced, and along with it come a rather stunning new announcement trailer. This trailer showed a bunch of content that we haven't seen so far. So I want to take a look at that content and have a bit of a talk about what it means for the future of the game. First though, let's talk a little bit about the PlayStation 4 version of the game. It's going to be released in the second quarter of 2017. That means somewhere between April and June of next year. It's going to be available for both the base version of the console as well as the Pro version, although Frontier haven't yet said which additional features, if any, the Pro version of Elite is going to get. There's also some interesting support announced for the DualShock controller. Now, you may or may not be aware, but the DualShock controller actually has motion input, so if you tilt the controller vertically or horizontally, this can actually be seen by the console and taken as an input. And this is going to be translated to headlock movements within Elite, and this will give players quite a nice advantage in the game. Nothing was announced about PlayStation VR, although since then, both on the forums and on Reddit, Frontier have said that it's something they're looking into, and something that they would like to support at some point, but they've got no news on it at the moment. And last but not least, perhaps one of the most interesting bits of information is that the PlayStation 4 version will come with all the Horizons content included. So that means there won't be two different versions for the PlayStation, there will simply be Elite Dangerous, which will include Horizons. What does this mean for the future of the game though? Well, it's long been suspected by many people that when Season 3 arrives, or the next expansion or whatever form it's going to take, that the base version of Elite Dangerous will disappear and the basic version will become Elite Dangerous Horizons. This is something that other companies have done. A good example is World of Warcraft by Blizzard. Now, when a new World of Warcraft expansion comes out, all the previous expansions get rolled into the base version of the game. And personally, I feel that this is exactly what's going to happen with Elite Dangerous, and the idea of a PlayStation 4 version being basically Horizons only kind of supports that. However, what form or content updates after Horizons take is anyone's guess. So one thing that many people immediately noticed was that the trailer showed content from unreleased patches. Much of it appears to be from patch 2.3, that's the Commanders, which includes both multi-crew as well as the Commander Creator. So let's jump through the trailer step by step and have a look at some of the new content. First image then, right at the very start of the trailer, we see a commander standing on the bridge of a Cobra. Now, this is the first time we've seen anyone standing on the interior of a ship. In the very early Elite Dangerous trailers, we did see a lot of commanders walking around, and obviously that wasn't actually in the game, it was just there for effect. But we do know that with 2.3 we're going to get multi-crew and an avatar. But what's never been mentioned is the ability to stand or walk around on your ship's bridge. So that raises a number of very interesting questions. Is this image from 2.3? I believe it's actually not. Is the image here for effect of the trailer? Well, that's a good possibility. Or is this an image from a future season of Elite Dangerous, the ability to walk around perhaps? Now keep in mind that the PlayStation 4 version could well be releasing as late as June, and many people have speculated that could also be when the new season or the new content updates beyond Horizons actually begin. So pure speculation at this point of course, but what we do know is that avatars are coming, and at least in 2.3 it's likely they're going to be firmly rooted into their seats, but maybe in the future they're going to get the ability to get up and stand and walk around on their ships. The next extremely tantalizing image features an asteroid base. Now this is something that was featured very early on in Elite Dangerous concept art, but as yet it's never made an appearance. It's also something that has been hinted at once or twice by Frontier over recent months. There's also been some very vague suggestions from Frontier that eventually players will be able to own their own bases. Now, I'm fairly sure that this isn't what's happening here, but what is clear is that this is an asteroid base and it's located right in the center of a massive asteroid ring. Now, what type of gameplay could this bring to the game? Well, there's every possibility that this will merely be another station location offering nothing more than what we already have, but it could also be a pirate base or something like that. In either event, I'm never one to object to variation. The more we can have in the game, the better. And the more variation there is, as far as I'm concerned, the more alive the game actually feels. So yep, maybe just another variation on the bases we currently have, or perhaps a pirate base, or maybe just a mining outpost somewhere. Now, this part of the trailer is perhaps the most ambiguous part of all. What is this? Is it a new station variation, or is it some type of ship? Now, we know at some point within Elite Dangerous there's going to be the appearance of generation ships. Generation ships are the ships that were sent out into the deep space way before hyperspace technology existed. They were sent out at sublight speeds towards distant stars where they could eventually colonize planets. It will take them hundreds, maybe even thousands of years to reach their destination. Now, this certainly seems large enough to be a generation ship, but perhaps the technology seems a little bit too modern in terms of Elite Dangerous' current stages, and after all, it's situated in the Founders world, which is perhaps a little too close to home. Maybe then it's a massive cargo ship. That's something which Frontier have hinted more than once will be in the game eventually, and we know that in past games there are certainly ships of this size dotted around. The ability to dock with some of these would be a wonderful touch. And my final thought on what this could be is a new station variation. With the big engines at the back, it's not too dissimilar to Jacques Station, so it could perhaps simply be a travelling station. My thoughts though are that this is going to be a new ship of some type, and I'm really looking forward then to see exactly what it is going to be. Now here's another hint towards multi-crew. Now this was further backed up by David Brabenman's announcement letter for the PlayStation 4 version to the media, where he has said that players currently in the game can fly solo, they can fly in a wing, or they can even fly on board another person's ship. Now clearly that isn't already available in the game, so I'm guessing that he meant that this will be available by the time the PlayStation 4 version actually releases. So you can see here that your commander actually has wings on their flight suit, and the trailer makes quite a big deal out of this. But check on over in the other seat, the co-pilot doesn't have any wings at all. Now we could go and read far too much into this perhaps, but assuming that this is a well thought out part of the trailer and intended to show in detail, then, well, it would suggest that the pilot over there is not a member of the Pilots Federation. Could they then perhaps be a NPC co-pilot? Well, pure speculation at this point, and only time is going to tell, but it's interesting nonetheless. The next image, this one from Commander Captain Starkiller of Reddit, is quite interesting because what it shows here is the dolphin, something that's currently not in the game. Many people actually expected it to be in 2.2, and that said, it was actually in the trailer for 2.2, I believe. But it's got to turn up at some point, right? So the PlayStation 4 announcement trailer then gives us some indication as to the future of Elite Dangerous. We've known for well over a year now about patch 2.3, and we don't know anything about patch 2.4. We know even less about when these two patches are going to be released. I'm willing to admit that the lack of information on that is somewhat frustrating, but I guess at least now we know that it's not going to happen past June of next year. What I found really curious as well is that this trailer made no mention of aliens at all. Many people have long been expecting him to turn up by the end of the year, and I personally was expecting him to be in patch 2.2. Of course, that's not fully discounted for this patch, but the whole thing really does seem to be being drawn out quite extensively. Nonetheless, some really interesting stuff there in the trailer, and it's content that I'm really looking forward to, particularly interested to see how multi-crew is going to be implemented. Meanwhile, over on the beta servers, Frontier are continuing to make changes to the game. These will dramatically affect balance both of combat, of power play, as well as the engineers, and recently they've started making some changes to the mission system. To be more specific, this seems to affect how missions are generated on the bulletin boards, as well as the balance of the rewards that you actually get from the missions. So the missions that are generated there on the bulletin board should now be more relevant to what's going on within the system, and there should hopefully be an increased number of missions, although at the moment there seems to be a dramatic decrease in the number of missions. The number of passenger missions is also taking a rebalance along with the rewards for those missions. It's something that's very much in a state of flux at the moment, but over the coming days I'll release a video taking a closer look at all of this. Now, one thing in particular that Frontier did talk about is the massacre missions. As you no doubt know, many people are partaking in these massacre missions and making significant amounts of money from them. This is achieved through a number of means. You have to go down to one of the systems that's in a state of war or civil war, and once you're allied with the faction in that system, you can then pick up some very high-paying massacre missions. Now, massacre missions are usually to target ships, but it's been discovered quite a long time ago that you can also target skimmers instead of ships, and these will also count. In addition to that, for every ship or skimmer you kill, it will also count as one kill towards each and every mission. So if you stack 20 missions, you'll actually get one kill for each mission on that stack. Now, Frontier said a few weeks ago, way before this really come to light in a massive way, that they wanted to make changes to this system. They're actually talking about that now. But they do seem to have some issues with it. It seems they cannot, or at the moment they're unable, to make any changes to the way that kills are actually counted. So they can't make missions kills count for just each individual mission. That's something that cannot change, so it's going to continue on in this way. For every one kill you get, you'll get one killed for every mission. The other thing that they can't change, apparently, is to distinguish between skimmers and ships. And the other issue is relogin. Relogin to refresh the mission board, and relogin to respawn the skimmers. A solution to both of these is also off the table. So what do Frontier propose then? Well, here's a list of suggestions. They've got 5 options, and they're not sure which one to actually go for at the moment. Their first option is to remove the massacre missions entirely. The second option is to reduce the rewards for massacre missions. The third option, prevent players from being able to have more than a few of these mission types active at any one time. The fourth option is a combination of 2 and 3. And the fifth option is that option number 3, but with a slightly increased payout. So what that means is prevent players from stacking too many of these missions, but actually increase the payment for each mission. Frontier have actually asked for feedback on this. They'd like to hear from people on what option they think they should go for. Interestingly enough, Frontier did not class what's been going on with massacre missions as an exploit or a cheat, but they do say that they want to change it. So do take a look at the link in the video description where you can find the aforementioned forum thread, and if you want, you can get involved in that particular discussion. It seems at the moment the entirety of the game is very much going through a rebalance phase. Currently they're working on all those different aspects of this particular update, but don't forget that Sandra Samarco also asked for some feedback on exploration a while ago, and they've said that in a future balance phase they will both look at exploration as well as trading. It's a good change of attitude to see from Frontier, and hopefully it will be the start of fixing some long-standing problems with the game. So not only is there a bunch of new content on the way, but also there should be a bunch of new fixes coming along too. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.